Hello and welcome to African Living Abroad. My name is Jamhuri and I'm here to share my international experiences, build bridges between cultures with the hope of making the world a better place. I consider myself a social observer, an interpreter of social events, a commentator and a storyteller. And today I'm going to ask the question, is Africa too immature to fly? And I'm going to share 4 strategies that can help Africa to fly. And why am I addressing these issues? It's because I have lived for 35 years outside Africa. And when I left my community in Kenya, during my farewell party, the elders spoke to me and said, remember, you are not only the child of this family, but the child of the whole community. And that when I had studied and acquired a lot of knowledge, I should go back and share that knowledge and those experiences so that they can learn also and benefit and prosper as much as I have prospered. And I feel that I have reached that point. Like every African child, we have a responsibility to give back to the community in every way that we have learned. And I would say that during 2019 to 2021, for me, a lot of things have become very, very clear. And I think that that was a catalyst for me to stand up and speak up. And this is going to be, my talk with Africa is going to be a tough talk. And it really needs to be, because we need to be open with one another. And Africa can understand tough talk and openness and truthfulness. So please hear me out, and I thank you ahead of time for your time. So is Africa too immature to fly? And to answer this question, I am going to share an observation I had in nature, from nature, and as a parent as well. You see, nature has a lot of lessons to teach us. And I would say that Mother Nature has been so kind to me as to share her secrets. And I would say that I can interpret nature as well. And nature and humanity have a lot in common. The way nature develops and all the adversities that nature goes through, the same way humanity goes through development from a child to adulthood and also faces adversity. So I'm going to tell you a story of 3 birds that I observed in a nest behind my garage. And I saw this nest with 3 eggs, and over time they hatched and the little birds grew. At some point I thought they were too big for this nest, and I thought the nest would kind of crack. But these birds kept growing fat, bigger, and they wouldn't fly. So one day I just rushed behind the garage without planning anything, and those birds I shocked them and they flew off the nest. Before that, their parents were bringing them food so constantly, and I thought that these parents did not have time to feed themselves. But the rest of that day, the birds flew. Those 3 birds flew with their parents. And it was such an amazing sight. But I thought that those birds were like little brats that were using their parents, and they had become too comfortable in their nest. And who wouldn't be? And the parents got fooled. But I was happy that I was a catalyst of that change for them to fly. Is Africa like those 3 baby birds who depend? And Africa depends on foreign parents to feed them, foreign aid, foreign loans, and whatever the West and Western governments bring to Africa. that Africa depends too much on them. And who exactly in Africa are those three fat little birds? And I can't help but think about corrupt African leaders who get this foreign aid, foreign loans, and whatever help they get to be distributed to the country, to help the country. But it is known very well that they accept this, sometimes with bonuses, and they embezzle these monies also. And they get fat, they prosper, they build themselves palaces, buy themselves big cars, you know, the way they live like kings. And they're poor people. The money doesn't reach there because that money was intended for them. But the leaders, they promise the people development. And that is a very elusive word, development. The people can wait forever and see no development happening. And who are those parent birds? I would say that those are the foreign governments. And they are in Africa for business, and I've finally understood it. And in modern business and marketing, you nurture your client before you hook them. You give them free products. You write them great emails about, you know, nurturing, and you really feel as a potential client that you are loved, you're cared for. And I get these free products too. I get these emails as well. But I know, because I studied that, what they are about. At the end, you know, you like this business, this representative of the companies, and you feel as if they're your friend. But at the end, they hook you to their product, and you become dependent on them. And you and other similar clients make these companies sustainable. And the next time they come up with a new product, you will be the first to be told. And the whole cycle continues. And isn't that exactly what foreign governments are doing in Africa, or have done to Africa? And I would say, from my experience of living abroad for 35 years, nowhere have I seen countries in the West allowing themselves to be treated the way Africa has allowed herself to be treated. I mean, in Africa, foreign governments and companies, they run, you know, unhindered. They are the boss. And I think that Africans are too submissive. They're too fearful to face them, even though they know something is not right. Something is imbalanced, but they do not confront them. And in this video, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I never asked lots of questions when I was in school. I thought my questions were too dumb. I didn't want to expose what I thought was dumbness. But no, asking questions leads to great answers. So now I am asking questions as an adult. What would happen if Africa was to go and mine in China, or hunt the Chinese panda and the monkeys there and the pangolin? What if Africa set up factories in China, hire the people there and abuse them, take away their human rights, overwork them? How would the country respond? How would the people respond? Why doesn't Africa set up military bases in Asia, in Israel, or the Middle East, in North America, and in Europe? Why not? And why doesn't Africa go and mine minerals in other countries and pollute their waters, their rivers, their forests, cut down their forests? Why not? Is Africa too incapable to do that? Is Africa too uncivilized to do that? I believe Africa could do that, is very capable of doing that. But Africa doesn't know it. Africa is too asleep to do that. But Africa is also a civilized continent and a hospitable continent as part of the culture. So that when you're a guest in somebody else's country, you don't misbehave and do things that you wouldn't do in your own home. So many of us, the children of Africa who live in the diaspora, we live by the rules in these countries. We behave ourselves. You know, we don't come and mistreat people or act really bad. We know what our culture is. So as we ask these questions about Africa, we haven't even talked about diseases that we know have been manufactured in labs and set out into Africa with the intention of what? I'll ask a question. What if Africa was so underpopulated? What would happen? Who would occupy Africa? And what interest is there for those diseases, deadly diseases, to be set off in African soil? And we haven't even asked the question of assassinations of presidents. Between 2019 and 2021, how many presidents have disappeared, all of a sudden, mysteriously died, healthy presidents? And how many have died in Asia, in North America, in Europe, mysteriously like that? We need to ask the big questions, deep, deep, deep questions. And we, the children of the diaspora, African diaspora, are here to ask those questions and to give back to Africa what we see, what we have learned. And so I give you 4 strategies that I think could help Africa to fly, to be unchained. And 1, Africa, recognize that you have all the resources you need. You have all the minerals. You have the forest, agricultural and human resources. And Africa, with the 54 countries together, you can create, and this is number 2, your own African health organization. You know the medicines. African Monetary Fund, you can create. African United Nations. And do away with the present African Union. In my opinion, the African Union doesn't work. I think it's been compromised, it's been infiltrated, and other countries are just knocking on the door of the African Union to come and sit in and listen in to the secrets of Africa, so that Africa can just be paralyzed before it even begins to walk. So Africa can assert herself and say, no, we will do our own business. Number 3, stop the dependency on foreign loans and aid and foreign military. I mean, these 54 countries, really, they can work together to create a mighty military and create their own network, their own, you can create your own factories. But my biggest question is, what would it take to shock Africa out of slumber, out of comfort, out of codependence to the West, just the same way that I shocked those little fat birds out of their nest and they flew? What will be the catalyst to shock Africa? Will it be a revolution? Will it be a reformation? I believe so, because I have the feeling, by watching African news and reading about what's going on in Africa, that Africans have had enough of being mistreated by every foreign country. And Africa, that could be the things, the dissatisfaction of the people that might cause a reaction, could be the catalyst. We shall wait and see. But Africa needs to shift into her greatness, because Africa is great. 2021, as we speak, has brought us a new era. Some of you have seen, but if you haven't seen, I want to ask you, don't you see? Don't you feel it? And the pandemic, as bad as it was the vehicle of change for everyone and for change in the world. Don't you see? Don't you see? So I would say, seize the opportunity. The time is now. And once you rise, I would really say that Africa needs to rise at our own pace, do things in our own style. Because if you rush to be like the West, to be like Europe, to be like North America, because that's Africans like to live like that, and Africa wants to live like that. But I think that will be going too fast, because you are not the West. You have your own way of doing things, and you've been suppressed for so many years. So when you decide to rise up, I think you need to bear in mind that you have your own pace, and you're like a child beginning to walk independently without your hand being held. And you can do it, Africa. You can do it. Last but not least, number 4, develop self-respect, please, and a healthy self-identity in terms of international relations and economic deals. Be an equal partner and a collaborator, and play the economic game very equally by creating your own products and processing them in your own factories and selling them to the other countries. The same way they take your resources, manufacture them, and bring them and sell them back to you. That is not fair. And elect elders that will bring you what you want, because many of the present elders, leaders, are sellouts, and they work for other people. I don't think they work necessarily for Africa. They have been bought. And I have homework for you. Study African history, your history, to discover your greatness. And I thank God. I'm so grateful for the historian, African-American historian, who recently passed away in August, just a couple of weeks ago. And he did a great history and research of the greatness of African people. His name was Dr. Runoko Rashidi. And there he reveals the impact of Africa that the world has not seen. And when you follow and listen to his stories, his teachings and interviews, even on YouTube, as an African, first of all, you will get a crisis. You will be in disbelief. And before you get to accept your identity, it is revolutionary. So I don't know of any other way that Africa can rise. And you define who you are, not what others defined you, how others define you, because they have defined you for too long. When you get to know your real identity, you will be shocked in a good way. So I want to thank you for your time. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do. Create a YouTube account if you haven't done so. And share this message. And click the bell, notification bell there below, so that you can be notified about my next video. So I want to challenge you as an African, or whoever is watching this video, it's time for change, and I ask you to step into your passion, do what you've been called to do, despite the fear, despite the challenges. And I challenge you to fly. And I accept that challenge for myself as well. So in the meantime, I will do the work that I feel so passionate about, talking about these things, these events, and challenging people to rise, to be better, the best we can be. So until next time, bye.